Even 5 years into playing this game, I'm still somehow out here decorating themed islands in Animal Crossing New Horizons. And because Nintendo just hit us with a random update, and I think I haven't talked about any of my islands for about 3 months now, I think it's about high time we look at them today. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. And in case this is your first time here, my name is Malene, and I have been absolutely obsessed with Animal Crossing New Horizons for the past like 5+ years now. In my last video, I actually ranked all of my past and completed islands, and I did promise to give you a little bit of an update. I have been a little bit radio silent on this channel for a multitude of reasons, but I think I'm not the only one who suddenly woke up kind of excited to play again when Nintendo just randomly dropped an update announcement on a Thursday. Now, I'm gonna be honest, when my coworkers first told me about this in our work group chat, I thought they were making a joke until I went online and I literally saw everyone freaking out about it. But hey, as much as I don't understand it, I'm not gonna complain because I do like to see people being excited again. Now, there is one feature specifically that I'm very excited about, which are the slumber islands. Now, before I get too excited and I start planning what type of slumber islands I actually want to build, I thought it would probably make more sense to take stock of what I'm currently working on, the islands I've currently already started, and just kind of see how far I am with those islands, what I still have to do, and then perhaps clean and prep a bit for the update. Okay, little disclaimer or information before we dive right in. The reason why I can work on different islands at the same time is because I actually do own multiple Switch consoles that I've accumulated over the last 5 years of content creation. You can actually see 2 of them right there on my pegboard. Up until the new update coming in January, that was the only way that you could have multiple islands. Now, that being said, I do want to say that I don't necessarily want to encourage this because on the one hand, it is completely ridiculous in terms of overconsumption, but also, in my opinion, anything more than 3 islands is honestly completely unmanageable. I used to have 1 island for streaming, 1 island for my YouTube channel, and then 1 island that I would work on for myself or kind of switch to in between the other 2 islands. And that was already kind of a lot to handle, just creatively speaking. And keep in mind, I'm saying this with Animal Crossing and cozy gaming being part of my job. Anything more, honestly, would just kind of sit on the side and I wouldn't really work on it. I'm actually looking to downsize my collection a bit as soon as the islands on those switches are done. So just another reason to kind of take stock and kind of work towards the finish line. And now, with that being said, let me take you through my current islands. So I actually want to start with my kidcore island, Sorbet. So for this one, I had seen this road design on Instagram a while back, and I absolutely loved this. It felt like a very unique kind of design and unique kind of color, and my brain immediately went oh my god, I should totally try to do an island completely centered around this road design. And very quickly I thought it should be a kidcore island with that playful and colorful vibe to it. And I actually attempted this entire theme once before. Now that I'm saying that, I actually feel like I did a work in progress island update video I don't know, it must have been a year or longer ago at this point, and I actually already mentioned this theme, but it was a different island because I started decorating a little bit, and then because I had too many islands, I wasn't working on it anymore. And then months later I opened it back up again. I was what was I doing? What? I don't remember my plans. And then it was just around the start of fall and I was oh, I could also start a new island and maybe that would be more fun. So I actually did that. I deleted the old version of Sorbet and I started a fall island instead. And then after a while, I still had it in the back of my mind. And so earlier this year, I think it was in March, I started a new version of Sorbet. So it is a mint, orange, and yellow kidcore island, which you've probably been able to guess by now. I've been working on it a bit here and there, and at first I was very excited about it. I have to say though that I've already learned that kidcore is not my favorite theme. I love looking at kidcore islands, and actually when I opened this island up to film the current state for this video, I was wait, this actually looks kind of cute. I did a couple of filler areas a few weeks ago now, I think, and I had forgotten about it. So I was oh my god, this area is done and this area is done. And I even did some beach decorating at some point, and it kind of reminded me of why I wanted to do this style in the first place. But kidcore just overwhelms me, I think. The way I explained it on stream before was basically that kidcore has too many possibilities. I don't know, the most random combinations sometimes are the absolute best, and I found that my brain really thrives when I really try to depict real life things, or I try to do something inspired by TV shows or a storyline or something. I feel I've always had the most fun with those types of islands. Out of the lineup today, I think this one is the most done though. I was thinking of how to best show you what I've done so far on the island, and I think we're just going to go through a checklist list for each of them. And then also I'll show you on the map like what things are done, what things are almost done, and what areas definitely still need a little bit of room. So for this one, I will say the villager lineup is complete. So all the villagers I want to have on this island in the end when I upload the DA are already living there, which is great. I also actually have done the infrastructure completely. So the entire road all across the island is actually completed. All the houses are where they're supposed to be. And for this one, I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of a mini island, which means I've actually sectioned off a part of the map that I'm not going to focus on and not decorate. The beaches on this island, I'm only going to partially decorate, and I feel like the only one I am going to decorate, I already did. So the rest of them I don't have to worry about. So I'm going to say the beaches are done, which is nice. The interiors, however, are not done like whatsoever. And I feel like with this very color focused theme that I've got going on, it would be fun to make the interiors fit that vibe. Interiors always require a bit of extra motivation though. So we'll see if I actually get around to it. So now that you've seen me run around the island a little bit to give you an impression of what it looks like and also the stuff that still needs to be done, let me show you the map as well. So there we go. We do have the roads already in place, and I'm gonna mark in green now the things that are already completed. So this part here to the left-hand side is actually the part that is completely blocked off. You shouldn't be able to get to this like at all. So while it isn't decorated, I'm gonna mark it off as complete because I don't have to worry about it. And then here are all the parts completely decorated. So these parts I shouldn't have to actually go back to and worry about and like focus on at all, because all the tiles that are supposed to be filled actually already are filled. Then I have already started working on Nook's Cranny. So this one is like partially done. So I'm gonna do it in a bit of a lighter green, I guess. And then on this island, no area is truly red because I've done like something everywhere, but all the rest is kind of, still like the bare bones. Like the infrastructure is standing, we've got the road, we've got the houses. We may even have a rough idea for what I want to build, but you know, it does still need a little bit of work. So if I take all the interiors into consideration, I would say that I'm probably about like 50 to 60% done with this one. But yeah, that's my kidcore island so far. So if you've been here before, you watched a couple of videos back, or you saw my last video in which I ranked all of my past islands, and this next one might be interesting because it is basically... Can you stop? All right. Because it is basically a remake of my very first island I did. So back in 2020, I started my first island, which was called Neverland. And then in 2021, I started turning it into a plantcore island. As I do with all of my islands once they're complete, I deleted this one. However, this was the first time I ever had to say goodbye to an island, and it was quite a tearful experience, I will say. And over the years, working on different themed islands, I always kind of kept wondering, how would I decorate this island today? Like, what things would I change if I had like the exact layout again? And then I was like, why don't I actually try it? And so after a lot of re-rolling, I actually managed to find the exact map that I had back then on my first island. And I started this island called Everland, you know, because Neverland, Everland. I know, it's great, right? And for this one, I feel like I've been working on it like a little bit here and there. I've gone through like these phases of being like really motivated suddenly, and then I do a whole bunch of stuff, and then I don't do anything for like multiple months again. I think with this one, what's difficult about it is that it feels kind of like a deja vu. So nothing is truly like surprising or kind of like a challenge. I'm never like doing stuff like, I wonder how it's going to turn out, because I roughly already kind of know. Like even now when I logged in to kind of record the footage for this video, I was like, this feels strangely like a deja vu. Or, you know, I'm kind of like walking across this island and I'm like, wait, is it 2021? But yeah, I have managed to build up the island like infrastructure again. So the entire map has been brought back, I want to say. And I do have, I think, all the houses where they're supposed to be. And I actually was very inspired a few weeks back, and I did like all the pathing, because back then I did circular pathing, which is like a very tedious thing to do, I feel like. And I actually did it all across the island. So now it's essentially filling in all the gaps. So all the actual like, you know, trees and items and flowers and stuff. And it really shouldn't be hard. I don't know, I find myself just working on other islands instead. As far as our list goes, we're gonna start once again with the villager lineup. And for this island, I have to say it is not done. In fact, I don't really know who I even want on this island, because in my opinion, it should be like a mixture of some nostalgic villagers I had on my first island, but also maybe some that I would pick up today, because I remember I picked a bunch of the villagers back then because of their houses, because we didn't have the DLC yet, so I couldn't remake like the outside of the house. But now I have that option, so I can maybe act a bit more freely. But so I'm still working on the lineup. The infrastructure is fully standing though. All the houses are in place, the pathing is laid out, the waterscaping, the landscaping, literally everything is done. My Twitch mod actually said because past Moline did all the landscaping, now when I play, it almost is a little bit like a no terraforming island, which is actually quite nice. Beaches. Okay, beaches are definitely not done, and they were done on my first island, so this will probably be a little bit of work. Same goes for interiors, although I'm not quite certain how much interiors I'll do. I might actually bring back what I did on my Germany inspired island, and I'll give them all the very same layout, just do like a slightly different color scheme here and there. Honestly, I think that's a good idea. I might just use the Kefian interiors and like mirror them or something. That's actually great. I'm gonna write that down. And then here is the map. I know, this is a lot. This back then, every time I would show anyone the map, everyone was like, oh my God, but like there's nothing, I mean, you've seen the walkthrough, like there's not much done, honestly. But the map looks quite impressive. I'm gonna mark everything that's fully done in green, and then we're gonna take a second to laugh about it, okay? And then I'm gonna mark everything else that's, well, the infrastructure is standing sort of in like a yellow. And then I'm gonna say the area on the bottom left is probably red, because I used to actually have a house down here, and I used to have this like botanical garden build that I don't want to bring back for this island. So I don't really know what I'm gonna be doing here. Plus, I guess all the beaches are kind of a red too. This one is a little mean because every time I look at the map, I get excited, but actually I feel like percentage wise, we're only talking about like 15 to 20% perhaps. I have actually been documenting my process for this island a little bit here and there, so hopefully I can kind of tell you a bit more about it in a future video. This next one you're gonna know if you've watched any of my streams before, because this one is actually a community island. Yeah, we decided to do a community island, and then like a few months later, Nintendo was like, oh, guess what? You're actually gonna be able to decorate with your friends. Anyway, this one is called Tooth, and it's supposed to just kind of represent my streams in some way or other. It is a little chaotic, if I'm honest. A lot of times when I start building a specific area, we'll kind of spin a wheel that gives me like an item that I have to incorporate, or then chat was like voting on specific colors I have to use. And then the different areas I'm building on this are inspired by like different games I've played before, different islands I've built before on stream, or just like straight up very chaotic things. The entrance is kind of cute and wholesome though. It's like this gyroid cinema, but every single one of those gyroids actually represents someone from the stream community. So it ended up being like a very cute build, but it has a really cute meaning too. And then apart from that, I've just done a lot of pathing, I feel like. Again, we have a lot of the infrastructure kind of standing, not everything though. I do have this fantastic like train build going on, which has some cube lights that have my Twitch emotes on them, which yeah, I mean, this island is straight up chaos. If you couldn't tell, I feel like this snapshot of it definitely will tell you. My house is also decorated, which looks like a hot mess if you don't know what it's supposed to be. It still looks like a hot mess even if you do know, but so it's supposed to represent like hidden object games that I've played before on stream. Plus the customization was actually, we spun like a bunch of wheels so that I just had to work with that. And I also got a whole bunch of items I had to incorporate. So this is the best I could do. And then I feel like my favorite area maybe is the mod area. So each one of those houses actually belongs to one of my Twitch mods, and they were all able to choose their favorite color, which I had to use as like the color scheme for their specific house build. And I also did spin another wheel to give me some must-use items, I guess. And then they also built their own interiors, which I recreated, and I gave them a do not feed sign because they were like, it's like a zoo. It's like a mod zoo. Next to the mod zoo, I already kind of prepped these little plots where I want to create little inspirational 3x3 builds that are supposed to represent my past islands. I feel like that sounds very complicated, but in my mind, this is very cute and like nostalgic. But as you can see, it's not done. And then I don't think there's much else to show you. So let's talk about the list. Villager lineup. I'm gonna say I do think there's a few villagers on here that are gonna stay. I don't think all of them though. I believe that like Shino, Melba, Scoot are supposed to move out. I'm not quite sure about Joey and Poppy. The other 5 actually are like final lineup villagers though. Infrastructure for this island is also not fully done. I can definitely see a couple of houses and buildings still on the beach. I think I wanted to do more waterscaping. Some of the pathing doesn't connect, so I still have a little bit of like elbow grease to put in to actually work on some landscaping and waterscaping and stuff. Beaches I kind of don't even want to think about. I have a feeling I'm not going to decorate them though, unless I absolutely have to, but I think I'm not even like far enough to consider beaches right now. Same probably goes for interiors, although I think it would be fun to do them, but meh. And then if we're going to take a look at the map, I do believe only that mod zoo basement build in the back, as well as my house and probably the entrance are the fully done areas. Everything else, I don't know, like partially I think I'm gonna give this like a yellow if the infrastructure is sort of standing, but right in the center or like next to the museum, I feel like is a very question mark intensive area, if I can call it that. Percentage wise, I mean, I think we're looking at like, let's say 10 to 15. Yeah, 2 still has a long way to go to become the hot mess that it's supposed to be. And then let me introduce you to Mayfair. If you've watched one of my streams before, chances are high I've mentioned Bridgerton at least once because I may or may not be slightly obsessed with it. And the good thing is that my roommate, who I already built a Once Upon a Time inspired island with, is also completely obsessed with it. So we've been working on a Bridgerton inspired island together. Now this one has been in the works for quite some time because we especially got obsessed with it and started it when season 3 aired, which was last year. And then we kind of played on it for a while. And then I think it was like not worked on for like, I don't know, almost a year. Also, teeny tiny disclaimer, this one is actually stored on my friend's Switch. We have also been doing those little screen recordings. So I do plan on stitching together a video where like I take you through the full process of how we plant this island with all the villagers and how we like section it off into the different areas and how we decorated it, because in my opinion, it's quite a fun process. And this one just has a bunch of areas inspired by the show. So we have already worked on Grosvenor Square, which has the Bridgerton and the Featherington estate, and then like this giant like park sculpture sort of thing in the center. Oh, and I should probably mention that Bridgerton is a like Regency romance show for those of you who don't know it. And so the island is probably like an elegant core. But yeah, we've done the basic square with like a big park sort of thing. We've done a bunch of houses and like fake house builds, which was very challenging, but honestly really fun too. We also did this like market with a whole bunch of like golden items. It's just like stuff I usually never use. And then we've got like this entire promenading park like sectioned out. So again, infrastructure is already standing, but for that one, we just have the pathing down. The other day though, we did get our inspiration back and we worked on the butterfly ball that you see in the last episode of season 3, I think it is, which is like just a clash of colors and flowers and extravaganza, which was very, very fun. And then the other thing that we've already built is like the Buckingham House, so kind of like the castle build or like the place where the queen lives. And we've already put down the street where the modiste is located, as well as a bunch of other shops later on. And then in the back left, we actually plan on doing like a more rustic looking part of London where the printer's shop would be located. And just like, you know, imagine a bunch of like barrels, pirate barrels, like wooden stuff, kind of that vibe. Okay, so let's take a look at our list. For villager lineup, we're not actually all the way there. There's still 2 villagers we have to switch out with Agnes and Daisy. We want to get Peggy and Lolly instead. All of the villagers actually represent different characters from the show as well. I feel like I'm gonna get more into that in like a future video. But we do also have 2 characters with Penelope and Colin because it is season 3 focused. As for the infrastructure, I would say it is fully standing. Now, I think that the back left part might get like some streets or like a plaza or something like that. But generally speaking, all the houses are where they're supposed supposed to be. Everything is sectioned off. The main road is there. So I'm going to give infrastructure a check. Beaches for this island are not done whatsoever, but I'm still going to give them a check because we're not going to do beaches. We might even close them off here and there. And if you can walk across them, they're just going to be completely empty, honestly. Interiors, we definitely 100% want to do because interiors inspired by the TV show and stuff is fantastic. We haven't done any of them though. So that's like 10 villager interiors and I think 2 fully upgraded houses with like a Regency elegant core vibe. So that's going to be quite a bit of work still. And then here is the map. I'm going to say that the entrance as well as Grosvenor Square with all those houses and then this section to the bottom as well as like a tiny bit on the right hand side are completely done. So those are completely green. And I'm also going to mark all the beaches as green because they're not going to get any further work done. And then I would say for most of the other stuff, I'm going to put yellow because the infrastructure is sort of there, or like we've kind of started laying some stuff out. And the part in the back left is going to be colored red because yeah, we don't really have anything there just yet. Now, percentage wise, I don't know, I'm going to say maybe like a 40-ish%, but I can let you know that my friend and I have actually been working on this island since I've recorded this, so we're even further along. And if we continue with the speed that we got going on right now, this one might be done like sort of soon-ish. I want to say soon-ish because usually it still takes longer than we think. But yeah, finally, I kind of shared some of Mayfair. I don't know if I actually did that before on this channel. But yeah, let me know if any of you have seen Bridgerton as well. And then last but not least, I know we're still going way too many islands. Like I said, is going to be the newest addition to my islands, an island called Dot. Now this island, I'm going to say is kind of my rebellion against anything I usually do. So usually when I start an island, there's an entire planning process. You know, there's intensive like theme research. I'll find inspo pictures on Pinterest. I'll find codes. I will get the island to 3 stars. I'll do an entire like code shopping process of trying the different codes, putting them together, seeing if they work. And then I'll do a bunch of like item shopping on treasure islands. And then the first thing I usually work on is the pathing. And so I was like, what if I just remove like all of that? So I didn't do like any theme searching, inspo stuff, nothing of the sorts. I don't have any custom designs downloaded. I don't have a path. And I also don't really get items from a treasure island. Now, I did get myself some financial help early on. And I also did drop a few like materials because at some point the tree chopping was just getting on my nerves, if I'm honest. But apart from that, I have been crafting everything myself. I've only been incorporating the things where I've either found the recipe or I've found that item in my shop. I did do the DLC, so I can still customize houses and such, but this one really is a very simple concept. Okay, I have to be careful using the term simple because I've been like, people have been kind of mad about it and I don't really know what simple really means to people. But in my books, this is a very simple island. I also decided to keep it pretty much no terraforming except for, you know, fitting cliffs to build inclines or fitting rivers to build like bridges. And then I've you know, worked around the weeds that are already there. I just like plant some flowers here and there. I do like tiny little, I don't know, clusters of items or something. And my main path is essentially just trying to guide the way with log stakes. A lot of the stuff in the back is going to be quite like foresty and just like trees. The second level cliffs, I've actually decided to not use whatsoever for like walking there. Just they're going to have some trees and some shrubs and be mostly blocked off. And just recently started working a bit on the campsite. I'm trying to look for a projection screen right now. So we'll see if that happens or if I'm gonna have to redecorate this. And I'm just, yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of seeing where it goes. I actually tried to do some flower breeding the other day, which I literally never do. And I have to say I don't love it, but I've at least gotten one singular orange hyacinth. So it's been successful in my books, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of take a little step back from like the very planned and very, I want to say like pressuring or stressful, but really I'm the only one making it stressful and pressuring. So if there's no one to blame but me. But I wanted to just take a step back from that and just randomly be able to pick up my Switch and just decorate without expectations to myself, if that makes sense. My favorite area on this island is actually this like daisy field or like pathway that I've done. The weeds were just kind of like growing in this really nice way where you can just like walk in this like wavy line. So I was like, I really like the, I guess, simplicity of it somewhat. So let's talk checklist. I'm gonna say that the villager lineup for this island is basically done. I just kind of either let it autofill. I actually managed to get 2 villagers from the campsite on this island. Tad and Maggie both showed up for me. And then I actually went villager hunting for the others and I was quite successful too. I think my longest hunt was like maybe like 17 tickets or something. And you know, I like all these villagers. I think they're all super cute. And so I think this is gonna be my final lineup. Infrastructure, I don't really know how to answer that because there's no pathing I could have done, you know? All the houses are where they're supposed to be. And I sort of know like how the path is supposed to go, I think. But I think I'm gonna say it's almost done. Beaches for this one, I don't want to do. Maybe I have to, but maybe I can just place like 2 weeds and then call it a day. I'm gonna also say this is like partially done. And as for interiors, I have actually decided that whenever I customize the exterior for a villager, I'm gonna give their interior just a teeny tiny makeover, but I'm definitely not gonna go overboard. So I'm gonna say this is like halfway done. And then I'm gonna go and show you the map for this one as well. So yeah, it's very simple looking. I don't really know if there's anything on here that I'm gonna call 100% done. I feel like maybe that daisy field that you saw. Apart from that, everything else is kind of like a work in progress because then I'll just find like a good DIY and I'm like, oh, I could add this to the entrance, you know? So I kind of keep going back to areas. And then I'm gonna say that the area by the Able Sisters is actually, I don't know what to do with that one. So that one's gonna be red, but yeah, I think this is like everything's kind of a work in progress still. As for percentage, honestly, that doesn't make it easy either because while I still have so much to work on, I do also think that it's not even gonna take me that much longer because also at some point, I feel like for this one, I'm just gonna be like, it's done now. It's fine. I just wanted this to be like a fun little simple filler thing and then go back to kind of more themed islands. And so, yeah, I'm gonna say it's maybe at 40%, 30 to 40%. This is hard to guess. It might actually be further. It might be 50. I don't know. But with that one, that's finally all of them. Like I said, way too many. And I definitely want to downsize my collection because my brain isn't built for this. And I think other people could definitely get a lot more enjoyment from those consoles. So I'm gonna have to lock in and I'm gonna have to finish these islands. Now, I do plan some extra videos for some of these islands. If there is anything specific you'd like to see, always feel free to let me know in the comments. But even more importantly, I would love to know if there is anything you would love to see before the update drops, sort of in like a preparation type of way. Now, I don't know how well we even can prepare because a lot of those additions seem very removed from our usual islands, but if you have anything, feel free to put it in the comments. And then I will say thank you so much for watching today, and I will hopefully see you in my next video. Bye everyone.